It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. A reminder, we've got newly appointed Jesup Police Chief Perry Morgan coming in as our special guest this morning on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. We invite you to tune in, hear what he has to say, as he's been officially on the job now for 1 week as of yesterday. Again, Jesup Police Chief Perry Morgan this morning on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. Other news, the Chamber of Commerce held its post-legislative luncheon at the Pine Forest Country Club on Tuesday. On hand were our local representatives who head to the state capitol every year. State Senator Blake Tillery, State Representatives Bill Wertheiser, and Stephen Meeks. Each gave their thoughts on what they felt were the highlights of this past session. Today we begin with our conversation with Bill Wertheiser, who tunes in every morning on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, knows my issue with the GHSA. State Representative Bill Wertheiser understands my pain and says he thinks looking into abolishing the GHSA might not be such a bad idea.
I thought it was really good. Of course, the budget's always the big thing. And our own Senator Blake Tillery did a good job leading out on the Senate side. I thought it went really well. We did some pretty historic stuff, like I guess adjusting or repealing the citizens arrest law without hurting, stand your ground or any of that other things. Of course, the election reform was a big deal. I could spend an hour on that. We did the. Hopefully the federal government will allow us to do daylight savings times. We got that signed this week. So the governor's in the process of signing a lot of bills right now. Thought it was a really good session. We did a lot of good historic things that'll help all of Georgia.
And this week, or Friday, the governor lifted all those restrictions for the coronavirus, so everybody's happy about that. All those restrictions are now gone.
Yeah, and I thought kudos to him for the way he handled it through the entire process. Never really shut the state down, and it didn't affect our numbers versus the other states that did. So I thought he did a really good job on that. Very measured approach, trying to balance public health with the health of our economy.
Well, me and you have discussed this before. We talk about education. Everybody's supposed to be about education, but my question, GHSA, I'm on that subject again. They study for education. We got a ball game day at 2 o'clock. Kids are supposed to be in school. We're still in a region where they got to drive 4 hours, get back at 1 o'clock in the morning to go to school. So my question is, who is GHSA accountable to?
There really no one, but we do have the authority to dismantle them, which is what we really should do. It's really a group that is self-imposed. And I heard y'all talking on your show the other day with Coach McDonald. The Saturday Monday game, when it's that many hours away, that's ridiculous. So it's something we may need to look at. We had a bill several years ago to just do away with the organization. We may need to revisit that.
Well, that'd be nice, but who do we need to write letters to and talk to? Like I said, you know about it, but does the rest of the legislature?
They probably don't, and that's how things get done. If folks would contact their local delegates, that's what sees movement. And so I guess we need a grassroots movement to get the legislature back engaged on that.
Sounds good. Well, Bill, always good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
All right, thanks for what y'all do.
Once again, those comments of State Representative Bill Wertheiser. One of the biggest issues heading into this past legislative session was election reform. All three men stated Tuesday that what they did in Georgia was to simply make it easier to vote, harder to cheat. We'll come back here what State Senator Blake Tillery had to say on the issue when we come back after these commercial messages. More from the post-legislative luncheon. Again, all three of our local representatives discussed the election changes that have been passed into law by Governor Brian Kemp. After the session, the national media has had a field day with attacking Georgia, which led to MLB and President Joe Biden moving the All-Star game from Atlanta. All three men stated Tuesday that the bill itself does one thing and one thing only. It makes it easier to vote, harder to cheat. Here was State Senator Blake Tillery stating that it really didn't matter what the legislators did or did not do, since most people had their minds made up before the session ever began.
Early on, when I came to the legislature, there was a bill about religious freedom. And it did not matter what we said in the bill. The same people were for it, and the same people were against it. If we had literally changed all the words, it wouldn't have mattered. It didn't pick up any more votes, and it didn't lose any more votes. Because that phrase itself had become a banner for one group and an opposite banner, something to fight against from another group. We almost ended up at that point with elections issues this year. It didn't really matter what the bill had in it at the end. You could almost count who your yes votes were going to be. You could almost count where your no votes were going to be. At the end of the day, the bill that passed dealt a lot, from my viewpoint, with trying to provide some security and some confidence in the election system. There are times when we pass bills in the General Assembly where folks have come to us and think something's going on, and you pass a bill to reassure them that it isn't. Some people will say that this bill was about that. Some will say that it was to take and make incremental changes about securing absentee ballots moving forward. Some will say it was the absolute wrong thing to do. And a lot of the times, the position that you're at the end of the day on that had a lot to do sometimes with the position you were in at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, the bill that did pass did deal with mostly with absentee ballot reform. It didn't deal much with voting machines. It dealt with local elections boards. It set up a process in place a lot like we did with the opportunity school districts, where, with those at the time when Governor Deal pushed a bill that allowed the state to step in when a school system had been chronically failing for multiple years. There's now a process where the state's election board can step in if a county elections board is viewed as chronically failing on multiple occasions. It also set up a process where you have to have a photo ID to vote absentee. You have to have an ID to vote absentee, or some type of identifying information, whether that's a photo ID, whether it's the last 4 digits on your driver's license number, whether it is the, there's another one I know you'll hit me on this second, I can't think of, what's that? Social Security number. To verify who you are, and the view in that was to provide parity between absentee ballots and voting in person. Multiple other things, some things I've heard about, and one of them that is, one that it irritates me a little bit. It's about the water within 150 feet of a polling precinct. And it's saying you can't provide water, you can't provide, etc. The reason that is because in some counties, you had parties being thrown, barbecues by the polling precinct. They can still do that, but they have to be 150 feet away. And the reason is because when you're walking to the precinct, if you're within 150 feet, the view in Georgia election law so far, and it has been for decades, is that no one should be influencing you within that 150 feet. Whether it's by giving you a bottle of water, or it's by wearing a bumper sticker, or it's, I guess a bumper sticker on your chest would be a little bit odd, but wearing a sticker on your chest, or a t-shirt, or a hat. If you want to walk 151 feet away, you can do whatever you want.
And again, those comments State Senator Blake Chiller yesterday at the post-legislative luncheon. We'll have more from the post-legislative luncheon on Thursday's newscast. We'll come back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes news. Sheriff Mosley states that on April 30th, deputies were dispatched to 3095 Odom Highway in reference to a drowning. Deputies arrived and found a black male face down at the bottom of the pool, not moving. Officers dove into the pool, pulled the victim out, immediately began life-saving measures. The victim passed away. The victim was 25-year-old Xavier Reddick of Jesup. The case is still under investigation. Sheriff Mosley also announced that on April 30th, units from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office Uniform Patrol Division and Criminal Investigations Division responded to multiple burglaries and entering autos which occurred in the Guard-Eye area. Burglaries occurred during the night of April 29th throughout the morning hours of April 30th. Golf cart, which was stolen during the night, was recovered from the scene of another burglary nearby. Also, a truck was stolen from a business and was recovered a few miles from where it was stolen. Case is still active and being investigated by the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Mosley asked anyone with information regarding criminal activity in Wayne County to simply contact the Wayne County Sheriff's Office at 427-5970 or 427-5992. Tomorrow is the National Day of Prayer. The City of Odom has a special event at the Odom Train Depot from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, 310 East Railroad Street. Light breakfast will be served. It's free and open to the public. The Wayne County School System gearing up for their big groundbreaking for James E. Bacon renovation. Again, the date is Tuesday, May the 11th at 5 p.m. at 1425 West Orange Street. Public invited to attend. Again, the groundbreaking for the renovation James E. Bacon set for Tuesday, May the 11th. And the high school band boosters had that big drawing for the midsize Gator XUV yesterday. Tickets were sold, $100 each, only 350 sold. Proceeds going to the high school band boosters. the winner of the Gator XUV, Mike Long. Our congrats to Mike Long for winning that Gator XUV. That's going to do it for the latest in local news. Sports comes your way. We'll recap the big comeback win yesterday by the Wayne County Yellow Jackets over Northside Columbus. That and more in sports coming up shortly. Bob Morgan saying have a great day.